This is Signed and Funded with Scott Alfano. Here's something I see all the time. Someone spends 3 months falling in love with houses on Zillow, touring homes on weekends, saving favorites, doing all the fun stuff. And then they sit down with a lender and find out they can't actually afford any of them. 3 months gone. That's what this show is here to fix. I'm Scott Alfano, real estate agent in Seattle, loan officer in multiple states, and this is Signed and Funded. Let's get into it. Welcome to episode 1 of Signed and Funded. I'm genuinely excited you're here, especially for this first one, because we're starting with something that I think is the most important episode in the whole season. Quick background on me, if you are new, I'm a licensed real estate agent based here in Seattle. I am also a licensed loan officer. I work across multiple states. That dual role is actually why I started this podcast. I kept noticing that buyers, sellers, and investors were being underserved by the way real estate information gets shared online. You get the agent perspective in one area, you get the lending perspective in another area, and almost nobody is trying to put those pieces together for you all at once. That's what this show does. Single topics, plain English, no fluff. Every episode is built to stand on its own. So whether you're a first-time buyer, whether you've done this before, or trying to build a real estate portfolio, you can search our library and find exactly what you need. Today's episode, episode 1, is the foundation everything else builds on. Today's episode, episode 1, is the foundation everything else builds on. We're talking about how buying and financing actually work together, not separately, together. And by the end of this episode, you're going to have a mental model that makes every other real estate conversation you ever have make much more sense. Let me start with the mistake, and I say this with zero judgment because I see it constantly with really smart people. The mistake is treating the home search and financing the home as two separate processes that happen in sequence. First, I'll find a house I'll love, then I'll figure out how to pay for it. It sounds logical. It sounds like it makes a ton of sense. This is not how it works. Here's what actually happens. The home you can afford, the type, the size, the neighborhood, condition, it's determined directly by your financing picture. Your credit score, your income, your debt load, your down payment, your loan type, all those things that shape what's actually available to you in the market. If you don't know that picture before you start looking, you're essentially shopping without a price tag. Here's where it gets painful, especially here in a market like Seattle, where good homes move fast, competition is real. Even if you're 2 weeks behind on your financing, it can mean losing a home that you love. Sellers want pre-approved buyers. In multiple offer situations, an offer without a pre-approval is pretty much dead on arrival. The first mindset shift I want you to make is this. Your home search and your financing don't happen in sequence. They happen in parallel from day one. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying you need to have everything perfectly figured out before you can look at a single house. Looking is fine, dreaming is fine, but the moment you're serious, the moment you think, I might actually want to buy in the next 6 to 12 months, that's when you need to be talking to a lender in parallel, and ideally, that lender needs to understand the market that you're buying in. And this is something I see get overlooked a lot. National lenders, online lenders, they can be fine, but they don't always understand the nuances of a particular city. In this case, let's pick Seattle. A Seattle transaction, the speed of this market, what sellers are expecting here in the city. When I'm helping a buyer on the agent side, I want their lender to be someone who gets it. Because a delayed pre-approval or a lender who doesn't understand local norms can absolutely kill a deal that should have closed. The 5-step flow. Okay, so let me walk you through how this process actually flows from start to finish. I've broken it into 5 steps. And what I want you to notice as I go through these is how the agent side and the lending side are woven together at every stage, never a separate task. Step 1, know your number. Before you look at a single home with any real intention, you need a pre-approval, not a pre-qualification, and we'll do a whole episode on that distinction. But an actual pre-approval where a lender has looked at your income, your credit, your assets, and told you what you can borrow. This is your budget. Everything starts from here. Step 2, define your goal. This sounds obvious, but it shapes everything. Are you buying a primary home to live in? Are you buying an investment property to rent out? Are you going to stay there for 5 years? Are you going to stay there for 20 years? The answer to those questions affect what neighborhoods make sense, what loan types are available to you, and what condition of home is smart to buy. Buying a fixer-upper as a first home is a very different decision than buying one as a rental property. Figure out your goal first, then start that search. Step 3, search with intention. Now you go look at homes, but you're doing it with a clear budget and a clear goal. This sounds simple, and it kind of is, but there's an important nuance here. Your real estate agent should be working with your lending picture in mind. When I'm representing a buyer, I'm not just thinking about whether they love the house. I'm thinking about whether the house will appraise, whether there are any red flags that might complicate their loan, whether the HOA situation is going to cause issues with their lender. That's the dual perspective in action. Step 4, offer and negotiate. This is where a lot of deals either win or die, and it has nothing to do with how much you love that house. It has everything to do with strategy, how you structure your offer, the price, the earnest money, the contingencies, the closing timeline. All of that communicates something to the seller, and in a competitive market, offer strategy can matter as much as offer price. We'll do a dedicated episode on this for both buyers and sellers in the near future. Step 5, close. Once your offer is accepted, you're in what's called the under contract period, and this is when the lending side really takes over. Inspection, appraisal, final loan approval, title work, the closing disclosure. There's a lot happening in this 30-day window, and if your financing wasn't solid going in, this is where things can start to fall apart. If it was solid, this part is actually pretty smooth, and I found it to be kind of boring, but boring is good in a real estate transaction. 5 steps, and notice the financing touches every single one of them. It is not just step 1 and then step 5. It's woven through the entire process. Segment 3, the dual role advantage. I want to spend a few minutes on something that I think makes this show different from most real estate podcasts. And honestly, it makes the experience of working with me different from working with most agents or most loan officers. Most people in real estate are operating from one side of the transaction. Your agent is thinking about the home, the offer, the negotiation. Your lender is thinking about the loan. Both of them are doing their job, but they're not always talking to each other as much as they should be, and sometimes that gap really costs the buyer. Here's a real example of what that can look like. I had a client who came to me already pre-approved by their bank. The bank said they qualified up to $650,000. Great number. We start looking. We find a house they love at $620,000. We write the offer. We win. We get under contract. Then we get into the loan processing, and it turns out their debt-to-income ratio at that price point with their current student loan repayment situation was going to push them into a higher rate tier. Nobody caught that during pre-approval because the bank's pre-approval process didn't dig deep enough. We ended up solving it, but it was stressful, it delayed closing, and it almost did cost them the house. When I'm working with a buyer as both their agent and their loan officer, that conversation happens on day 1. I'm looking at their full financial picture alongside their home wish list, and I'm asking questions like what payment actually works for your life, not just what can you technically qualify for. What can you comfortably afford at a payment level that doesn't stress you out every month? And that is an extremely different question, and it leads to better outcomes overall. On the agent side, I'm thinking about things the lender doesn't. Things like, is this neighborhood appreciating or stagnating? Is this home priced right, or is it overpriced by $40,000? What does the resale picture look like in 5 years? How do we structure an offer that wins without overpaying? When both of those perspectives are working together for you simultaneously, you're in a better position. And that's the whole premise of this show and the whole premise of how I work with clients. All right, before I let you go, one quick ask. If you got something out of today's episode, hit subscribe wherever you're listening. That's genuinely the best thing you can do for this show right now. It helps more people find it, and it makes sure you don't miss an episode as we build this library together. Next week, we're going to go deep on your credit score, specifically what actually moves it, what lenders are looking at, and why a 20-point difference can cost you tens of thousands of dollars over the life of your loan. That one is going to be really valuable, whether you're buying soon or just starting to think about it. And if you've got a question about buying, financing, the Seattle market, investing, anything, please send it my way. I'm on Instagram at signedandfunded. I actually read everything you send, so please send it over, and I'd be happy to use it in a future episode and answer that for you. All right, that's episode 1 of Signed and Funded. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. This show is something I've been wanting to build for a very long time, and the fact that you're here for the very first episode means a ton to me. I'm Scott Alfano, your agent in Seattle, your loan officer across the country, and your guide through all of this. We've got 25 more episodes coming in season 1, and it only gets better from here. Now go make a good move.